What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich. So, the essence of time.
And here is the essence, and I'm not even going to try to create any suspense on my final thoughts on this watch because it is pretty awesome. It's in 43 millimeters and it just might be the most compact 43 millimeter case out there, and that's because of its short 49 millimeter lug to lug length. So as you can see here, no part of the watch extends beyond my wrist bone. It stays within that wrist area and yet provides a really nice wrist presence. So if you're a little cynical about a 43 millimeter case because of your smaller sized wrists, well, join the club because my wrists are only 6.5 to 6.75 inches, and yet this fits wonderfully. It's also only 10 millimeters tall. So if you're not familiar with the Formex brand, well, it's a brand that's been around since 1999. And then the current CEO and owner, Rafael Granito, took it over in 2015. So prior to 2015, Formex watches used to be sold and distributed at brick and mortar shops through authorized dealers. But as story goes, Rafael pulled them out and decided to sell them direct to consumers because he was able to lower the prices and up the quality. Now, I'm not sure what the prices of Formexes were before, but I can tell you the quality is just outstanding. So Formex watches is based out of Biel, Switzerland. And the branding Formex, well, in French, that's translated to extreme shape. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later, and I'll show you what that means. So I've gotten a chance to know Rafael pretty well recently, and I know that he is a really avid sports enthusiast. He loves physical activities, whether they're racing cars, motorcycles, or skydiving. Rafael is into that, and he makes sure that all of his watches are able to endure all of those sporting elements. So that's the DNA of every Formex watches, and I'll give you a hint. It's with these 4 screws around the bezel. So ironically, what the very first thing that caught my attention are not these 4 screws that it might have caught almost everyone else's attention. The very first thing that caught my attention when I unboxed the Essence was this finishing. This is just a really great job of finishing with the brushed and polished finishing here. In fact, I would liken this to anyone who's interested in an Omega Seamaster might also be interested in the Essence, because to me, they kind of sort of have similar aesthetics. Of course, this is going to be much more affordable than the Seamaster. But my point is, if we were to slap the Omega branding on the Formex and you didn't know anything about it, I just don't see anyone saying, Omega's finishing is not quite as I remember it. They must be cutting corners. I just don't see that happening. It would be business as usual. That's how good the finishing on this Essence is. So this version is in brown. I just think it's really eye-catching and one of my favorite colors because we just don't come across brown that much. But it's also available in black, blue, silver, meteorite, and a darker shade of gray. One of the other things that's worth noting that we never think about is the date window, right? But I really like this date window there above 6 o'clock. It kind of sort of reminds me of an open book or a window with the shutters on either side of the date section right there. I just like that a lot. It just seems to pop to me. Above it, it says automatic chronometer and really nice and tastefully applied markers. See these vertical lines on the dial? These are all CNC machined individually. Lots of attention and thoughtfulness that went into the Essence. So I want to go back and talk about the automatic chronometer here, because this version is COSC certified, which means in a nutshell that it has to be accurate within -4 seconds to +6 seconds a day. This is the COSC certificate that accompanies the Formex watch. So if you're a real watch nerd and you love these kind of details and see all the rigorous testing results that went into this movement, then I think this is going to be a fun read. There, right here it says COSC. So this is just a nice fun touch on a COSC certified or chronometer movement. There is also a different version, but for this COSC movement, and it uses the top grade Sellita 200 movement, really well finished and decorated. But this retails price for $1,285 on the bracelet. But they also have a non-chronometer version that retails for $785, and that one houses the reliable ETA 2824. So it's the exact same looking watch, just without all the fancy regulations of that movement. So it's going to look exactly the same. Obviously, it's not going to say chronometer on the dial, it'll just say automatic. So if you're not into, the accuracy or all the bells and whistles of a movement, then I think the ETA version is going to be a pretty good option for you. Formex also has a wide range of straps, whether they're leather or textile or silicone, but I just think it is meant for this steel bracelet because this is just an outstanding bracelet. It looks great, but again, lots of subtle details on this, starting with this clasp. See where it says Formex right there? It's also a horizontal shaped clasp, which is consistent with the vertical CNC machined lines on the dial. Just a lot of thoughtfulness that went into the Essence, as well as the push releases right here, a nice different shape. So if you're wondering, does this bracelet have micro adjustments because we don't see the more typical 4 or 5 extra holes? Well, it does, and it's concealed. So here, I would open this part right up here and then push it out, and there's the extra micro adjustments we have. So we can just slide this and to as much as or little as we need, and I'm going to close it, and there it will mask the extra micro adjustments. There's a better look of the movement right there. So I think this is a great sporty watch. It can certainly look great with jeans and a tee, which is how I wear it, but it can also certainly be worn a little bit more dressed up. I'm going back to this bracelet because this is just one of the better bracelets that I've seen. But earlier, at the top of this video, remember when I said this? The branding Formex? Well, in French, that's translated to extreme shape. Well, this is what I mean by that, the extreme shape. These 4 holes around the bezel, they are not just cosmetic, and it's also very subtle, just like the detail on this vertical clasp here that matches the dial. So what I mean by that is, watch right here. So I'm going to be able to push down here. So you can see it. See when I'm pushing this? It's raising the bezel from the case. And that's because it goes back to Raphael's sporting activities, because that's actually protects the movement inside from all the shock and the activities that that are involved with our sporting needs or activities. So it's not cosmetic. It actually serves a purpose, and a really cool purpose right there. Again, to protect the movement. So I like that a lot. It's very subtle, but it's there, and we know that it's there. So it's just a lot of details inside and out on this Essence. So if we are thinking about which movement choices we want to get, we have those options. So I want to go back earlier to when I started talking about Formex as a brand. They actually started off with the Element, and then they morphed into all these different varieties of models. The Essence just happens to be my favorite version. And the Essence, in addition to steel, they also have them in carbon fiber, which is a really cool look. But again, I just opted for the steel. So I've been raving and singing the praises on this Essence because I just think it is one of the nicest and better independent boutique brands that I've come across. Just a very exciting brand that produces not just a premium looking watch, but a premium feeling watch. You can just tell right away, this just oozes quality. But because I've been singing its praises a lot, I felt that I had to nitpick to try to find something about the watch that may not be my favorite feature or maybe even a flaw. I couldn't initially find that, but I did, and I wouldn't call this a flaw, but if I did have to nitpick for one thing right there in the crown, it's not a signed crown. Less expensive watches will have a signed crown, so that's not a huge deal. But I actually kind of started to forgive that because you can see here that it's polished around the outside and brushed on the inside. And again, that is consistent with these 4 screws around the bezel, polished on the outside and brushed on the inside. So that element of details still went into the crown, signed or not. Not a big deal, but again, if I had to pick out something. So if we're looking for a watch that is just looks great, has a great presence, just really well finished, just well made inside and out, and offers us 2 options to have the chronometer version or the ETA version, then I think the Essence is going to be a great option for us.
Thanks for joining me. and I'll see you the next time. So let's go take a look at the Ligera. I forgot what intro I was doing.
So if we're looking at that crown, and if you're a tool person, you're going to see what I mean. It's kind of like a nut shape, right? Yep.
So, the essence of time. The essence of time.